What's up, everybody? It's your boy Phil Shotgun 96 Jug here, and we are here for our Season 6 draft analysis of the WWC. If you guys have not watched our WWC Season 5 last run, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it right now in 3, 2, 1. We were one of the 4 champions that came out of the season because each division had their own champions division and all that stuff. But you can still get put on the Hall of Fame and everything like that. So and then this season, two champions actually came back. One's defending in Omega and Delta, and the one in me is defending in Omega. So this is very good. I'm excited. A lot of new. I looked at my schedule, and I'm actually gonna be facing a lot of new people. Some people I haven't faced. A couple of people I've faced before. A little bit. So I'm really excited this season. I also got to pick up a new team. Also, guys, we have made a ton of transactions. I'm gonna tell you right now. We made a grand total of roughly 5 to 6 transactions within the span of the end of the draft to just today. So, a lot's kind of happened now. But nonetheless, I'm super excited for this. I'm really stoked to be doing some battling, and I am just looking forward to having a ultimate blast this season. Because there's going to be a lot of mons here I haven't really tried yet. There's some ones I've used a little bit about, and some ones I have used quite extensively. So, actually, not really. This team's roughly about mons I've barely have used, slash have only maybe used one time. But I'm looking forward to it. Let's get into this. So, I had the 5th pick overall in the draft. By the way, if you also are hyped for this, leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Join the First Rocket Crew today because we feel like the crew. Anyways, so I had 5th pick in the draft. So I really got shafted, and I wasn't allowed first pick, even though yes, I was one of the returning champions. But it was one of the new rules we had, so excuse me. That was one of the things. But I then had to think, okay, what do I want now? Some of these picks aren't originally what they were in the round, so do not feel weirded out when you see these monsters from picks. So let me just give you kind of a glimpse and idea. So originally on this team, I had Mega Lopunny, I had Amoonguss, Rhyperior, and Hoopa Unbound for the final set that I had before transactions. Because before transactions, I had Tangela, Sandaconda, Garbodor. I don't know what else I had originally as well, but there was also mons like Mega Lopunny that I had originally as well in this team. But I dropped all off of those mons, and I set on my final team here that I think is going to be good. It's still about the same thing with the hazard control, but we still get one type of hazards and anything like that, if anything. So ultimately, after thinking about it and excuse me, running through it, I really think there's some good things with this team. It still has a bit of glaring problems, but I definitely fixed some of the glaring problems that I originally had with this team. So let's go ahead and just get into it, guys. So with my technical first pick, I grabbed Mega Medicham that we're gonna name Dakota Kai after Dakota Kai from NXT. I was thinking like, Medicham uses mostly, technically speaking, the legs as the main powerhouse. I was thinking like, what's a good Pokemon they can use? And obviously Nakamura's there, but I feel like Nakamura's really not a Medicham. So I was thinking, Team Kick It with Dakota Kai. So if you guys get the reference, good. If you don't, just it's a wrestling nickname, so just remember. But what ultimately made me go with Mega Medicham over Mega Lopunny is there were a few things that Mega Lopunny does not do. It does not give you the strongest normal stab that I need. And even though, yes, Scrappy is very good in the fact that I hit ghost types, I don't have to worry about having to deal with any potential. Excuse me. I don't have to deal with any potential like annoyances like with things like Runarigas and Copperrigas having their things just switch up on me and stuff like that, even though that will still happen. But it was a Pokemon that didn't benefit much from its fighting stab, because, again, close combat's amazing. U-turn for pivoting is really, really good. And the fact that, again, having something like Play Rough is also really good, too, to counter Dragon types. And I really was not wanting to drop Mega Lopunny, but, because first off, it gave me a lot of speed and, like, good power. But I felt like, arguably, I felt like I needed to change it. And plus, I have never really used Mega Medi. And there are times I'll probably get an opportunity to use Mega Lopunny again. Potentially another season. But this is a Pokemon that I am super excited because I have used Mega Medicham kind of one time, and it was only 2 weeks of a Wi-Fi league, and my God, in 1 week it killed a rain team. And on that rain team had Bulu Lucha, which was, if anyone doesn't know, it's Tapu Bulu and Halucha for the Unburden set. And like, wow, that thing went in. So I'm really excited to try Mega Medicham again and hopefully finish the season with it. I think it's gonna be a really great Mega, and I'm looking forward to this. Plus, pure power, doubling my attack stat. Like right now, my attack stat is over 400 without investment. Like, come on, that's just so good. Up next with my second pick, this was still on the original team. I'll go over mons that were still on the original team, by the way. But this was also on the original team. I guess the first mon you could say was on the original team, and that's Trigon, my Hydreigon. I felt like Hydreigon was a really good pairing with actually with Mega Medicham, because Mega Medicham does have that big kind of, not that big exact weakness, but does have a weakness to Ghost nonetheless. And I felt like with Hydreigon is really good. They still see Fairy weakness, but now they don't share a fighting weakness that Mega Lopunny and my Hydreigon had here. So that was another thing I really wanted to know right there. It got rid of that fighting weakness a little bit that was struggling with, because the that I have excuse me guys. I did have a little bit of a fighting weakness going here when I also just had Hoopa Unbound originally because it was Psychic Dark. But nonetheless, I thought, like, let me mitigate this fighting weakness a little bit, and that's why we also went with Mega Medi. But why I liked Hydreigon. Hydreigon here is something I have not really gotten to use. I did use it in PSBA last season, in Season 5, and we didn't get to use that for too many weeks just because, again, it was 14 mons, which I think kind of made another reason it was a bit of a hindrance pick for me to bring every single time. But there were just those few times where, Hydreigon was able to come, and it literally didn't work, man. Hydreigon was amazing, and I really, really liked it. And I'm definitely going to try it again here because I love Hydreigon. Hydreigon is probably arguably one of my favorite Dark and Dragon types to use in Draft League. I would say it's my favorite to use of all time, but it's definitely like top 3, if not top 5 for me right there. That is such a fantastic dragon, and I love it so much. Up next, we've got Bugs Bunny, aka Bugs the Diggersby here, and as you can see, I kind of went with a little bit of a theme with this. Now, this was another one of those I did switch out for. And why did I go Diggersby? Well, first off, Diggersby gives me spikes, which is really important because even though I lost Stealth Rocks, spikes is really more important because Stealth Rocks, yeah, they're nice to hit things like fire types, but more times than not, fire types would run heavy duty boots. But with spikes kind of provides a lot, and I think a lot more kind of a uniqueness to the damage output on certain things. Yes, levitators it doesn't do anything to, but actually, I'm really curious. Does it have Stealth Rocks? Okay, that's okay. What was the main reason though behind the Diggersby pickup though? Diggersby, even though yes it does lose return, it still has decently good like normal stab. I mean, body slam is really nice. Facade by itself is really good. Strength is actually not bad itself too. So it doesn't necessarily have bad coverage, and at times it doesn't need to run normal stab to be good. It still has good coverage. It still has really good offensive capabilities. And Diggersby also thought would be normal ground. Yeah, the fighting weakness is then back, but I wanted still a normal type on this team just so I don't have to worry about ghost typing that much. And I felt like just having a normal type in general was going to be really good. And plus, Diggersby, which having huge power, is really, really good. But what I think is going to be really good about Diggersby here is I can make Diggersby more of a choice banded assertive Pokemon. If I want, my as like an adamant bandit just to hit something where I can run like Jolly on my Mega Medicham to be the more speedy offered. I mean, obviously, there's some choice scarf sets I can run with Diggersby here. And I don't know why there's always random EVs right there, but I really think Diggersby is going to be really, really good. I'm really looking forward to using it. I've only used Diggersby in the league once, I think, and I actually had okay time with it, and I kind of liked it. So I was also just looking at Diggersby for the whole time in the draft, but I just didn't go with it because I had a normal type. So I'm excited to try Diggersby again. It's really, really, I think it's really going to be fun, Mon, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now, also back on the original team, I picked up Cinerance. Now you're thinking, like, oh yeah, I got 3 physical attackers right out the gate of the 4. Don't worry, we're going to fix that patch a little bit. Why did I grab Cinnamon? First off, I'm surprised this kind of lasted round 4. Even though, yes, Libero doesn't make it the better form of it, but it's still good. What I ultimately like about Cinderace, and for some reason, guys were saying that it doesn't fit on my team. I'm trying to ask why that doesn't fit on my team. It's a Cinderace. It can fit on any team. What Cinderace does is it provides great utility work with Super Fang, court change. It's a taunter. It's got a good priority in sucker punch. It's got U-turn for pivoting because now I got 3 mons I can pivot with having U-turn, which is pretty good. But court change is really good because it stops any potential webs on my team, which my team, it's iffy on webs on some stuff because, again, huge power on things like Diggersby and Bennington. They don't care if their speed will get lower. They'll still be hitting like a mad truck. So that's what that does. But what I think Percentage does provide is, again, another good physical wall breaker, which is really good. Again, that pivoting with U-turn, which is really, really good. And I just ultimately feel like that's something that's really, really cool about that type of status with it. And again, the options of utility is really good. It's a really good heavy duty boots of users to keep that speed control good. And with that core change, again, I can switch potentially sticky webs. I can switch all for hazards and force my opponents. Because you can look at my team, I only have one defogger, and I'm going to spoil it. That's my only defogger for the season. But again, there's something like Crescenders, which can, yes, it might have to be forced to run heavy duty boots almost every single week, but it's one of those Pokemon that can just run heavy duty boots every single week and be fine. And then occasionally run that Choice Band, which can be doing massively good damage. And I do think Cinderace is a good Pokemon. And anyone thinks it's not a good Pokemon, they're lying to you. They just don't know how to use it. Now, I switched this out, and this was something I originally wanted on my draft. I originally wanted Cinderace. No, oh, god dang it. Ugh. English. Why is it like this? Okay. What I meant to say was I originally had one. Sorry, as I'm trying to fix something, and it's annoying that. Oh my god. I'm professional. I know I am. I'm just trying to fix something right here real quick. Let me fix this real quick and get go. So, what was originally going to be Tangrowth, that got sniped. Then I was thinking, okay, I'll grab Amoonguss. But then I changed my idea because Shaman was still on the board. So what I was going to do then was I was going to wait for Shaman to get picked up in free and pick up Shaman in free agency, and then give myself a better grass type. Even though Amoonguss is still a fairly good, decent grass type, but this got sniped at the end, near the end of the draft, and that hurt. But now, with the drop that Dix did, because Dix was the one that took my Pokemon, it's Dix as in D-I-X, in case people were wondering. But, he dropped that one, and I decided to pick it up. And I ultimately decided to pick it up because this was one of the original ideas I had going into it. I have used Shaman quite a few times. I think I won a championship with Shaman on my team. But I haven't tried using Shaman again because I'm trying to use different grass. But so I thought like Shaman just was that one grass type I needed for this team. Leech Seed supports is really, really good. Actually, does it get access to Sleep Powder? It does not. That's stupid. It doesn't even access to Stun Spore? What the heck, man? But anything, the main reason I grabbed Shaman is Shaman can actually be sleeped on right now. Shaman can run physical sets really decently well. There's also amazing special sets that Shaman can run. It's like aromatherapy, so it gives me a cleric, which is very important. It's also, especially when it supports mostly my physical breakers, because I don't want to be Will-O-Wisp. One of the main things about Shaman as well, it's got access to Healing Wish, which is really good, and it's got Natural Cure. So Shaman's one of those Pokemon that can run Rest effectively, heal up, switch out, and be back to full. So Shaman's one of those Pokemon that just won't care about statuses on it, and that's what's one thing that's good. Having a status absorber, I think, on teams is a rare thing that can fit on teams extremely well. And that's what I think I love about Shaman. Plus, it gave me that big ground resist that I needed to. Because I won't mind, my team didn't really like the switching in ground types. Yes, later on you'll see I pressure ground types with a typing, but I still need a guaranteed switch. And Amoonguss was probably be one of my very few only switches to ground types, even though it's neutral to it, because I can't constantly bring Hydreigon in, because then they'll always predict it's Hydreigon and never click Earthquake. So by having something that can guarantee still switch in case certain ground types go for either Stealth Rocks or go for a status, I have something that can at least switch in comfortably on them instead of that. And like I said, the Healing Wish support is really, really good. And plus, Shaman's move coverage is disgusting. It gets access to Flying coverage, which beats Bug and Grass types. It gets access to Fairy coverage, which beats Fighting and Dark and Dragons. It's got Earth power for those Pexy Electric types and Rock types, even though it's got Figuratin. Like I said, leech seed set's really good. It's got access to psychic for those poison types. It's got a diverse move pool. And Tailwind support's really good. Toxic's really good. Again, there's a physical stats because it does get access to Sword Stance. It's like there's a lot of things about Shaman that's really cool about it, and I'm really excited to try Shaman again. We're also naming Amy Rose because it is the only female hedgehog that I would ever think to name something that would be Shaman. So I'm talking about Shaman too much. Let's get into my next pick. Also, I'm sorry if you hear loud noises in the background. It's the train, and the train for some reason wanted to go very slow and make a lot of loud noises, and I don't know why. But I went with Ninetales here. Ninetales was again on the original plan because I was going to go for a bit of a mini Hail team. I have recently have really had just really fantastic success with Hail, so I was thinking to myself, you know what? I want to try Hail again, and I want to try and see if I can pull off the thing that Zach hates the most, and that's a Hail team winning because he admits that it's not best weather. I do agree it's not the best weather, but I will say this: it's a fun weather to use. You just need to build it around a little bit better. I don't think I built it the best. I developed a bit of a rock weakness, but I think throughout the draft, my rock weakness got checked, which was really, really good. But with my fire weakness, it's not exactly the best, but I think it got relatively checked. So there's still some things that I'm gonna have to fix and work on, but nonetheless, they're just work in progress and stuff. But ultimately, what I went down as well is because Auroraville is really good. Auroraville helps things like my Mega Medicham, my Hydreigon, even my Diggersby with agility setups, my Cinderace in case I run around bulk up, and just Single Combine does not. So, and Shaven just wants to be an offensive threat. I don't know. But ultimately, I just felt like Ninetales was also just a good fairy. And plus, I think a fairy type was really good. Even though, yes, it's neutral to fighting, I still think it was a really good pickup to get nonetheless. Now, going into my pick, obviously, I had to grab Arctozolt. I have not used the Zolt line in so long, and I decided to go Zolt. Now, I know a lot of people were probably a little surprised I didn't grab Sand a little bit because of, Fish, Zolt, and stuff like that. But I didn't want to go sand. I keep using sand every once in a while. I'm gonna try to steer away from it. I do want to try other weathers. I want to try rain again. I want to try sun again. But I'm trying hail again, and I'm also trying hail and sunset, obviously. But I'm trying hail this time around because again there were some things I wanted to try. Arctozolt's really really good. Arctozolt is more of the offensive between Arctozolt and Arctovish. Zolt is just so good because its dual stab is just so hard to switch into. Like, legitimate, what switches into Bolt Beams, Bolt Beaks, bulky grass types, ground types, and, like the water ground types as well. Like, those two extreme bulky typings. But that's where Icicle Crash comes in. And then, obviously, for all those water ground types, I have Freeze Drag. So, Arctozolt, in theory, has now no safe switch-ins, especially if Hail is up. The best way to stop things like Arctozolt and some other things on my team is that you have to stall out the hail. And if you cannot reliably stall out my hail effectively with your switches and predictions, Arctozolt kind of can just basically beat teams by itself. And I also love Arctozolt. I think he's going to be cool. I'm really excited to try him for the first time, so I'm hoping to have a lot of fun. And up next we have Beartic. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this was just a budget slush burst user to pick up. It gives me another physical wall breaker, which is relatively good. It gave me some decent defenses as well. Base 50 speeds could have been better, but it was 1 point, which I think was a steal to get. So, I mean, it's a Beartic, it's not gonna do too much. I don't know if I'll ever bring it, but it at least gives me an option for if I want to go full hail, so that's good. Now, I drafted Manaphy. Manaphy was not on the original team. It was a transaction move. By the way, Beartech was just an add-on move from a transaction pick. So, why did I have Manaphy? Now, originally on this draft, I had Dracovish. And, that was another Pokemon I think I forgot to mention, was Dracovish was on this team. Now, the reason why I dropped the champion himself was because I've constantly used Dracovish. He's my Zero Aura, just how like Zach is with his Zero Aura. And for me, I wanted to try some new waters. And Manaphy, yes, Manaphy has been shamed and slandered because it it's just a Pokemon that is terrible in Gen 8. It lost Tail Glow and it lost 10 in power. But in my opinion, that should not force you to shame or think of a different Pokemon like Manaphy. Manaphy can easily still, not exactly 6-0 teams anymore, but can help break teams. It's actually a really good reliable mon as well. Rest hydration sets or something right there. That's where annoying defensive sets like shoutouts to Nele from last season. He used a defensive rest and rain dance hydration with a very physically defensive spread with a rocky helmet to really chip my team down. Like ultimately, Manaphy was just something that's really good. And plus, Manaphy is still a really good mod. It's a decently good choice scarf mod. It's a utility mod with another U-turner, which is really good, along with my Volt Switch from Arctazol. It gives me knockoff support, which is really really good. It does give me a mod that can just be able to come in and also be kind of like a status absorber, especially if I put Rain Dance on it. It's just overall really good. It's got access to things like acid armor if it just wants to be a defensive annoyance Pokemon and just be offensive. It's a really good Pokemon nonetheless. I really think Manaphy is so good. And I really want people to know that you can't just trash a Pokemon just because it's got, this. And plus, it's got access to Heart Swap, which means it can steal stat changes, which is really, really good. And ultimately, I just think Manaphy is just going to be so good and so much fun to use this season. I'm really looking forward to it. Now, this was my last move I made, and I grabbed a little Muck. Now, why did I grab Muck? Muck, I needed a grounded poison type, and I didn't necessarily pick it for a second dark type, but it's one of those these dark types that actually can reliably help check fairies. Obviously, it's not one of those models that wants to take the fairy type hits, but it's still one of those mons that can help. And yes, ground, again, a bit of a problem, especially you see my next pick, ground a bit of a... But again, I have ice types that pressure them, and I will limit my ice types to pressure them mostly in hail. But I have things like Manaphy, I have things like Hydreigon, I have things like Shaman that can kind of reliably come in on them, take those hits, because they can be built really good defensively. And just Hydreigon can do combat on the Earthquake. Excuse me. I ultimately really think this team came out really good. And I think with Muck, it's another knockoff supporter, which is really good. It's a really good mon to kind of use Curse a little bit as well. It's one of those mons that does not want to appreciate the burn, nonetheless. But it's also got really good coverage. It's got some elemental punches. It's got access to things I believe. It does not get access to Drain Punch? What? I thought it did. If I'm real and run special sets, there's things like Moon Blast. There's things like Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Dark Pulse. Like, there's a lot of good things about Muck. Your Muck's also got Clear Smog for anyone stat changes. It does have access to Facade and Disable, which is really good. Foul Play is really nice. Haze is really good. Memento is really good. Pain Spray is good for reliable recovery. Power Up Punch in case I want to just bring in an annoying set. Rest, Sleep Talk, that's a thing right there as well. I just overall think that Muck is really good. It's also giving me a Taunter, which is really good. It gives me a mon that can even arguably use Substitute. It gives me a mon that can also use tech moves like Acid Spray to lower special defenses for things on my team. Ultimately, I just felt like Muck was just a perfect fit over something like Hoopa. So that's what I really felt good with. And with our final pick, this stayed on the original team, and I actually literally got this as the last round pick because, again, there was no way no one was going to double up on Ghost typing. There was no way they were going to double up on Steel typing. And plus, this is a mon that has Redemption Arc on here. This is a mon I have to use to know if I like it or if I hate it. It's one of those things like that. Because I constantly drop this thing after I pick it up. It's been 2 times, and this is the 3rd time I've drafted it. This is the only Pokemon on the team that is never being allowed to be free agent no matter what. Because there needs to be a statement made with this Pokemon whether I like it or I can't use it. Or if I just don't like it. It's going to be one of those type of things. Honestly, it's really good. It's got a good access to King Shield Toxic if it's an annoying set. It's got really good Dual Stab, which can hit about pretty much about everything in the format for super effective to neutral damage, which is really good. And ultimately, I just felt it paired really, really well with the team, and I'm just really excited. It gives me a little bit of access to Trick Room, and that even though I don't have a Trick Room setter, I might potentially think about it in the future. But ultimately, I just felt like Aegislash was just so good to pass, so good not to pass up, and I just was really excited to try it. But that's the new squad, guys. This is actually the second time I've had to record this team builder because I made team builder. The draft analysis because I had to fix it up because of all the transactions I made. So yeah, but that's gonna be the team, guys. If you like, you haven't already, subscribe if you are new. Join the Phil Shocker crew today because you'll be feeling with the king of the crew. But until next time, guys, I am Phil Shocker, the United States Hedgehog. I will see you guys next time. Peace.